Hello YouTube. This is a video on the Star PD 45 ACP pistol made by Star Arms during the 1980s and imported into the United States by Inter Arms. Now neither one of those companies exists anymore, and that does tend to pose a bit of a problem for Star PD owners, which we'll cover shortly. But the first thing we need to do is go ahead and safety check this pistol. Remove the magazine. Check the chamber and the magazine well, so the pistol is safe. And I was going to do a quick comparison between the Star and Officer's model 1911. Safety check this one also. Okay. And as you can tell, the pistols are fairly similar in size. The Star actually silhouettes a little bit smaller than the 1911 Officer model, and in width it's a little narrower. But the dramatic difference is in the weight. The Star actually weighs about 7.5 ounces less than the Officer's model, which in the 1980s was pretty remarkable. Externally, the pistols function exactly the same. There is no grip safety on the Star, but the magazine release buttons are in the same place and the slide stops are in the same place, and they function identically. Both pistols have a half cock and a full cock position. The thumb safety does work a little differently though. In order for the safety to be engaged on the 1911, the hammer actually has to be cocked. And while the Star functions much the same way, the difference between the trigger and the hammer and the safety also allow for the safety to be engaged when the Star's hammer is decocked. So that's a little different. But otherwise the pistols function almost identically. We can get rid of the Officer's model and get back to the Star here exclusively, which I'm going to go ahead and disassemble. Star is a Browning design, and like all Brownings, it's fairly simple to disassemble. Like the Browning High Power, the Star has two notches in the slide, one here and one right there. And what those notches do is they actually allow a little spur on the thumb safety to engage the slide stop, or the slide rather, and the second one allows for the slide to be held back during disassembly. There is no plunger on a PD, so the first thing we do is slide the slide back and engage it on that little spur. Like any other 1911, the next thing that happens is the slide stop comes out. Unhook the slide and it comes right off of the frame. At this point we can remove the recoil spring and the guide rod, twist out the barrel bushing, and then the slide and the barrel come apart. Just like that. Not a problem. The problem with PDs though is that the frame is an aluminum alloy, and the alloy technology of the 1980s was not up to snuff with what it is today. And as a result, these pistols actually have a tendency to crack. Now to avoid that, Star put a buffer on the end of the recoil spring guide rod right there, and that is polymer, plastic. And that's not good because those tend to wear out in about 500 rounds and have to be replaced on a fairly regular basis. So with Star being out of business and Inter Arms being out of business, finding recoil buffers was a bit of a problem for Star owners for a while. I have contact information for somebody who makes Star PDs buffers, and this is what they look like. A polymer plastic piece. And Jim Dog sells them at a pretty reasonable price. So at the end of the video I'll go ahead and put his contact information up there, so anybody who needs Star PD buffers can get them from Jim Dog. Okay, reassembly of the pistol is exactly the opposite of disassembly. Take the slide and push the barrel in. Put the barrel bushing in. Flip the barrel link out of the way and then the recoil spring and the guide rod go in, and then the barrel link comes back to the front, just like that. Okay, from there we'll slide the two pieces of the pistol together, and this is where people start having problems with reassembly. The pistol tends to bind at this point, and I've seen videos and seen people in person, yanking on this thing and jamming it and shaking it and pushing it, and totally unnecessary. The reason it binds is because the barrel lug locks up here on the slide, and the best way to release that is just to push down here on the barrel in the ejection port, and that frees the pistol up to move much easier. So once you've done that, you line up the holes between the frame and the barrel link, put the slide stop in, slide back to the spur and lock the slide back, and then put the barrel link in all the way. Not a problem. Okay. Put the magazine in, and we'll do a quick function test. Perfect. Okay. And one more thing that needs to be mentioned is that in the 80s, Star really recommended that their pistols not be dry fired. Their firing pins are not made for that, and they will break. Now Jim Dog, he doesn't make firing pins, so you might have a hard time finding a replacement for a Star PD firing pin these days. So if you need to practice with it, go ahead and get some snap caps, or use an empty shell casing. There it is. Quick rundown on the Star PD. Hope you got some good information out of this video, and thanks for watching.